Let's talk about some treatments. There are lots and lots of treatments if you go on the government website, the National Institute for Mental Health, or SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Administration websites, and you look at evidence-based treatments for depression, you'll just find a long list. But they come down to the two major ones, if you seek help, are going to be therapy and medication in one order or the other. The studies from quite a while back, I've never heard them be disputed since then, is that medication and therapy work best in combination. One without the other helps, both of them together are best. There's an interesting reason for that. The psychiatrist I work with mentioned recently that the medication provides a window of opportunity for people to address their real problems. And I really like that way of thinking about it, because for some depressions, yeah, probably lifetime antidepressant medications are going to be required where there's a real, some sort of biological base to that. But much more commonly are situations where there is a situational reason for the depression feeding a tendency towards depression. And the medication provides that boost in energy, that lift in mood that gives people enough energy to then begin to be successful at therapy and to begin to regain some of their functioning in life. Same thing's true for the persistent depressive disorder as well. Therapy, what works in therapy? Well, there are all kinds of approaches that work well in therapy. You'll hear cognitive behavioral therapy, and that is the hottest one. There's been a ton of research on how effective it is. My career spans the beginning of cognitive-based therapy back in reality therapy and into positive self-talk and into the ABC model of emotional and behavioral control. I use all of those, and I use the CBT approach of really examining where does the thinking come from? What are the thoughts behind the hopelessness? What are the thoughts behind the I can't be here anymore, I can't stand this, I can't even get out of bed? And so, for instance, one person I know went to a new school, just could not cope, ended up not being able to get out of bed, failed all her classes, was in trouble. Actually, I could say there are several people, 2 or 3 of which I'm working with right now that have a similar background. And so their life really starts to fall apart. And so they come see me, and I start examining, okay, well, yeah, that happened. And what were you thinking just before that? What was going on? Well, this was a lot harder than I thought, or people were not friendly. People were mean to me. People bullied me. And I just thought, it's going to be hopeless. I can't do anything about it, and there's no way out of it. And they spiraled into a deep depression. And so as I ask them about that thinking, I begin to ask them to examine the process. And that would be, well, I got my first set of grades back and they were all C's and D's. And I was shocked. I thought, sure, I would have A's and B's. Well, what did you think about that? Well, I thought I was a failure. Okay. And what did you do? Well, depending on age, I went out and got drunk. And then I just went home and just didn't get up, just went to bed, gave up. Okay. And so let's go back to the thinking. You see your grades, they're not what you expected. What's running through your mind? Well, I'm a disappointment. I'm a failure. I'm not good enough. And then we begin to challenge those beliefs. What do you mean you're not good enough? Well, obviously, my grades are good. Well, the C's in college level are passing, the D's in high school level are passing, so you're still passing your classes, right? Well, yeah, I am. So you're not as good as you want to be. You're not as good as you have been, but you're not failing either, right? Yeah. So this school is different. The teachers have different expectations. This was your first grading period, right? Right. So it's taking you a while to adjust to the higher standard, right? Well, I guess so. And so that was just your first opportunity to prove you could do it. So you've got another opportunity. And so on, and I build like that. This is a lot quicker than it would actually go with a real client, but you get the idea. So you challenge those thoughts and begin to produce some hope. And hope is the most important part of working with depressed people, because that's what they've really lost. At some point or another, they've lost hope. They've lost the ability to look ahead and see a future that is going to be good for them. They see nothing but the short term, and it's bleak. So that's how we start to work on it. You will also hear a lot about mindfulness and mindfulness meditation. That's a retread of transcendental meditation. But every so often, these ideas have to get rebranded so somebody can make money off of them. And so the current version is mindfulness meditation. And the idea is that you are paying attention while you're relaxing, while you're breathing, to only being here now. And there's even a book from the 70s, I believe. I don't remember the Indian author, but it was called Be Here Now. I think it was Ram Dass, but I'm not positive about that. Anyway, the idea is that you pay attention to your breathing, you feel and hear your breath go in and out, and anytime you begin to think about anything else, you just gently call yourself back. And then you work at that, and you spend 20 minutes a couple times a day, and you work on that, and it helps you gain presence instead of being stuck ruminating over past failures. That's helpful for many people. I also use a number of other dynamic techniques built in hypnosis and dynamic therapy and in problem-solving therapy. I combine all of that and talk to people at a deeper level of consciousness about their successes in the past, that this is a roadblock, that they're going to figure a way around, and I give them positive suggestions about that. Now, this is deeper than just positive suggestions. This is changing the way they understand themselves at a very deep level. So that's really interesting work, and it can be actually amazingly successful. Group therapy can work with the right leaders and the right commitment to the group by people. I don't hear too much about anybody doing groups like that anymore. Used to be more common. The groups that are run now tend to be more skills-based and more coping skills oriented. So I hear less about that. And so then there are other ways of changing a lifestyle that we know can help with depression. Exercise, just simply walking, especially with others, every day for 20 minutes, a half hour. Changing diet, smoothing out the diet, getting a more balanced diet. The problem with those is that when you're depressed, it's really hard to get yourself to do them. And that really is the trick with depression. When you are so depressed, you can hardly do anything. How do you do anything? And that's really the trick. And when people get so desperate, or their family gets so desperate, they bring them into treatment. And that's where the medicine and the early stages of therapy can help them regain some energy and enough hope to get them moving. Then exercise can come in later. But if you're in that chronically persistent kind of depressive state and you're trying to figure out what to do about it, you still have enough energy to go do things, then starting to do some moderate exercise. Doesn't have to be strenuous. You don't have to go spend a fortune on a gym membership and 10 new workout outfits. All you have to do is walk. All you have to do is park your car farther away, take the stairs, all those tips you know about already. And that will help you, but especially if you include some other people in it. You get the social interaction, and you'll also get some encouragement from them and some accountability. Yeah, I don't really want to go today, but they're expecting me, kind of a thing that helps. Anything to help get you going. Same way with the dieting, and dieting is not really a good word, but just better food choices. Reducing carbohydrates, for instance, that can tend to make us sluggish and bloated and all of that. So those things you can add on when your depression is mild and you just want to lift your spirits. The serious depression, where you really can't get going, you really pretty much have to start with the medication and therapy to get your energy up to the point where you can do the other things. So that would be the order. The other thing I want to talk about just for a second is self-talk. And that is, we all have this internal dialogue going all the time. We talk to ourselves. Some of us talk out loud when nobody else is around, or at least when we think nobody else is around. And we have this constant dialogue. A lot of theories about that, and it depends on what yours is, but most people who are depressed have a very critical self-dialogue. Oh, you idiot, you screwed up again, you dummy. And it gets very profane. They call themselves terrible names and put themselves down, and you'll never amount to anything. And before long, well, it develops early, and one of the theories is that that's really your critical parent that's doing all of that talking. You have internalized all the criticism that a parent figure gave you, and now that's what you hear in your head. Well, that can change, and you can very deliberately begin to say, okay, I got this. I can do this. I know I messed it up before, but look what I learned from messing it up. I learned more from my failures than I do from my successes, so I'm going to take those as times I learn things, and this time I'll do better because I know those things. So I can do this. You're worthwhile. I'm worthwhile. You can do it. And you talk to yourself like that. And you begin to make a habit of that anytime you catch the negative dialogue going on. You just go, stop. And you flip it around to the positive self-talk. And you begin to make a habit of that. And it's pretty amazing how much effect that can have on you. So give that a try if this is your issue or one of your issues. So depression is very common. It's very treatable. There's no reason to go along suffering and suffering and suffering when there's help out there, and there's effective help out there. So if you've really been struggling with it, you've tried a bunch of stuff, but you can't keep going at it, you just don't have the motivation, or you don't see the results you're looking for, then find a therapist that has psychiatric backup and begin to make your life better. So glad you joined us. If you enjoyed this live stream, it'll be up as a recording. You can like it. You can follow me. And I appreciate your support. Thank you very much.